Hello, it's me again. Apparently, come here, Trip. Apparently my dog wants to say hi. Alright. Yes. You're gonna be on YouTube. Alright. Go get down and play with the others. Alright. So, sorry about that. So I wanted to do a quick video. I talked yesterday about the S-Thunder grenades, but one thing I kept talking about was that they're really hard to take apart. So I wanted to sort of counter that, give a little apologies to S-Thunder. They're not the hardest thing in the world. I just wanted to kind of show people what I was talking about. And one of the things I want to say, first of all, it's always good, anything you have, whether it be your paintball gun or your airsoft gun or any accessories, it's good to know how to take it apart and put it back together again so you can maintain it yourself. And it's good to oil them and everything as you go through, you know, with some specific marker oil, and you don't want to use just any oil because, you know, like I learned, the O-rings melted on mine. But I will say, if there's one thing about these, is if you get green gas and use that, you'll see on most cases it says silicone oil added, and what that means is pretty much every time you fire, it lubricates your airsoft gun or your paint grenade. So really, technically, you shouldn't have to take them apart to oil them. In fact, all you have to do is just keep some of this handy, and even if you use the CO2, just fire a couple rounds of this through it every now and then to lubricate it up with something that's safe. So, that being said, let's just get into the video. You will need to take it apart if you want to replace the core. And on that note, I said 1,000 times yesterday that the ball bearings are a big issue, and so I just want to reassure that I will not actually be taking apart the part that has the ball bearings, but I will show you I have an extra piece so that you can see it. Alright, so let me just sort of adjust the camera so you guys can see. A nice little crotch shot there. So first you start out with the grenades. So let's not worry about the blue grenade. Let's just focus on one. First things first, I'm going to actually want to fire this so that I can get that valve back. So let me just sort of do that real quick. Actually, you can hear it. It's alright, Trip. That didn't really do its job. So let's just take a look here. And like I said, I honestly don't recommend you taking it apart unless you absolutely have to. Alright. Please let the valve. Okay. There. And now you can see in here there's the hot pink valve I was talking about, and I actually shoved it back so that it rests inside the thing and it's not going to pop out, because this is the thing, that's the thing that has the ball bearings that's so annoying. And when you talk about the hot pink, this is the CO2 valve version. It's not the, it works with green gas, but it's actually designed for the CO2. And you see here I have a bunch of curiously strong magnets, which is the rare earth magnets, as they say. And I always wondered, if they're rare earth magnets and there's so many of them out there, how rare are they? But whatever. So anyways, as you can see here, the valve runs through these little holes, and these holes run through the entire grenade. They don't run all the way to the cap, which I'll take off, just so you can see. It's clear there. But that's where all the gas sits, inside these holes. So that you fill up all these holes, and the gas pushes down on this valve, and when you push the spring in, and I'll show you how in a second, you push the spring in, it allows the valve to, almost lost the ball bearings. I have the magnets here to catch the ball bearings, but yeah. You push the spring in, and it allows the valve to actually move back. You can see I keep pushing it forward, and that's what happens when you reset it. You have to push it back forward so that it sits inside. Stay in there. It sits inside this hole right here. So it's pretty simple construction, like I said. So the gas runs, and so if you get the longer one that's longer to about here, then you get more gas inside there because these chambers are longer. The other thing that's really annoying about these little holes in those ball bearings that I'm talking about all the time is that they like to fall into those holes, and then getting them out is well, I mean, you just have to dump it out, but we'll talk about that in a second. So there you go, there's your 3 pieces. Sometimes these have an O-ring right here. You don't actually need it, so I don't know why it's there. But sometimes they don't, so don't worry about it if yours doesn't. I'll screw that back on. And so these are your primary 2 parts. Now, I got here, this is the black core that the unit comes with. This comes installed into the unit somehow when you get them, unless, of course, the company that you bought it from has already installed this for you, which is really nice of them. But this is the actual core. What happens is, there's your trigger on the back there that you push in. The ball bearings sit in these little holes right here. I don't know if you can see these in this light. And again, this is the black core. This is the one you want to use for green gas and red gas only. You never want to use CO2 on this. I was told that you can use CO2, but it's just not recommended. So what? And yeah, and here they are. Oh wow, they're not even magnetic. So never mind on the whole magnet thing. There's the ball bearings that I'm always complaining about. As you can see, they are separate. And the reason the ball bearings are annoying is because they don't actually, there's nothing to keep them in place. They just sit in these little holes right here, and they can fall through either way. They can fall right on out, which it's not doing because there's oil gumming it up, or they can fall inward into the thing, so then you have to like take it all apart and get it out again. So that's kind of sad that they do that. And then, like I said, this is how it works. You stick, when the grenade is ready to fire, this piece is stuck in there like that, and then the trigger is sitting right about there, and the ball bearings are sticking out. But when you push the button in, the ball bearings sink inside like that, as you can see. And right now they're sitting on a little groove that sits right there. They sit on that groove and they can't push back, but as soon as you push the button in and the ball bearing sinks inside, like so, then the valve can slide back, opening up and allowing all this gas to come out of these holes and go through this big hole and shoot everything out. So that's how it works. The downside, and see there it is, ball bearings just everywhere. What I was talking about, what really sucks about this is because every time you take this out, all 4 of these ball bearings come flying out of there. And thankfully, since this thing's so covered in grease that they're kind of staying in now, but usually that's not the case. And the other thing, too, is that when you're trying to put the thing in, you'll have to push the spring down, and the spring's natural tendency is to push the balls out. So you'll have all the balls in there, and then you'll push the spring, and they'll all fly out again. So I'm kind of contradicting myself by this fact that the ball bearings are staying in so well right now, but what kind of sucks is you have to, when you're putting it into the chamber here, you can't turn it sideways or the balls will just fall out. So you have to be putting it back in straight up and down, like this. So there's a lot of, you got to actually kind of stick it in there and then screw this on top and let this push it down. Because once it's sitting inside that cylinder, the ball bearings won't fall out, but getting it into that cylinder is the hard part. But other than that, I mean, it's a pretty easy construction. You got 2 O-rings right here that you want to grease. You want to watch out for this O-ring right here. You want to keep that lubricated, but usually when I screw this together, I mean, it's a really, really tight fit. And on my last one, the one that the O-rings melted, the first thing I noticed was that when I screwed it back together like this, it was actually crushing the O-ring. It was actually squeezing it out. And even this one, even though the O-rings are fine, you can just see it's barely fitting in there. So you want to really take this apart as little as possible. So once that's back together, you want to push that valve back forward, and you could almost hear a little click. I don't know if the camera picked it up. And that click means that the valve popped out of the shell and into the chamber, blocking the main hole in there. And you can see it's like closed it up. So once that's all closed up, then I've got here some paintballs. These are just some cheap ones I had lying around. And you could put, 1, 2, 3 in there. You could technically put 4, but here's where your issue comes. Now you can't really put the cap on there. You can put it recessed like that. That'll most likely pop off if you have a grenade pouch or something. But, yeah. So technically, really, you should only fire 3. But if you use the tape method that I talked about, you could get 4 in there easily. My thing about these is that when I've fired 4 of them, it's such a small spread, it's almost not worth it. In fact, if you're going to shoot that, you might as well just shoot them with your actual gun, not with the grenade, because you're going to have about the same accuracy. So that's where I like these better. You can see the little paintballs. Let me get out of the light. And then those you can stack up pretty much any height. 3, 4, 5, 6, and that pretty much topped me off. But here's what I like about these. The top one fits right inside the cap like that, so then you can just sort of load that in still, and then it still sits up a little bit, but it's better. It's in there better than it was before, and then you can get this really wide spread of 6 little balls. So I like that best. The downside to it, of course, is that you can't just you have to like have a supply of these as well as the paintballs, and you have to make sure that the field you go to allows these and allows you to fire these. But what's nice is that since this is such a versatile grenade launcher, if you get to that point where you can't use these, well then just grab these and put them in there. You can still change up if you wanted. You're not limited ever. You don't have to set it up. It's not like like your gun. If you have an E-grip and a field doesn't allow it, you don't have to go disassemble the whole thing and do it all over again. And last but not least, we're going to go get a little into airsoft here. I do have some airsoft BBs in this little tube, and again, this is what's nice. Anybody who's had to load anything in airsoft knows how difficult this is. And so when you see it like this, you just pour them right in like that. Yeah, it's a blessing. So I don't even know how many I just put in here. Again, you got to deal with the cap a little bit, so you might have to not put as much in. I've also seen people shove tissue paper in there. That's another option you can kind of go for. But I don't really think I'm going to count these, but you can see for yourself. That's a lot of airsoft BBs to come flying at you at once. So that's the general construction. They're all about the same. Your key elements are this core, like I said, and then it's got the spring button press with the teeny tiny little ball bearings that are not magnetic, so will not stick to a magnet. You see right there, just trying to put them in to show you guys, it's just like a nightmare, because there they all fall out again. So yeah, that's why I recommend putting them in something, and it's really sad when they just bounce bidding down the table, and then they land in your carpet, and you're like, oh my god, I'm never going to find that thing. And initially I was going to use magnets to sweep the area if I lost them, but they're not magnetic. So out of everything about these things, that is my biggest complaint, is that construction. But like I said, if you have green gas, it says really clearly silicone oil added, so you really don't need to stress out about oiling these things up all the time. You just need to fire a few rounds of green gas through it, and this is $15. I did order the CO2 adapter, and I'm just going to get a small CO2 canister to use for it. And that's, you can go to if you're at a paintball field, you can just fill that up for $2 or $3. And then you can reload it, reload it, reload it. This, if you're at a paintball field and you run out, sorry, unless you're at a really cool paintball field that actually sells this stuff. And I don't think I know too many of these. I did buy this at a paintball shop, but not at their field. So there you go. That was the anatomy of the S Thunder Shocker paintball grenade. They're pretty much all the same. Even the longer one, all it is this section right here is longer, and yeah, I mean, and then this one, same thing, so you don't need to know too much about it. That's about it. So hope you guys learned something, and I hope you helped make a decision if you're looking for which products to go for, and thanks for watching.